Can you invest in your home country even if you're not a tax resident anymore? Today we're answering that question. My name is Leo. I'm an international tax accountant. I help online entrepreneurs all over the world legally reduce their taxes by moving abroad. So, can you do it? Short answer, yes, of course you can. Think about it. Even if you've moved from the UK to Thailand, you've made a load of money, and now you want to buy a property in the UK. You've got your passport. Because this is another common misconception. Do I need to get rid of my passport if I want to change my tax residency? Like, no, you don't. You can keep your passport and still move abroad. But then you have the right to live in that country. You've got the right to live in the UK if you've left the UK but you've still got a passport. You're a citizen. Think about it. Even if you're not a citizen of the UK, if Elon Musk wanted to come to the UK and get a flat in central London, get a penthouse on top of Hyde Park, do you think they wouldn't let him? Just because he's not from the UK, just because he's not a UK tax resident? That's not how it works. You can buy stuff, you can invest in stuff, you can do whatever you want. The only thing you need to be careful about is where you're paying taxes. So you can invest wherever you want, but then if you invest maybe in the UK, then maybe you have to pay UK tax on that thing, right? Maybe if it's a stock, then probably you don't. Usually tax on capital gains based on the country of your tax residency. But property, for example, if you're living in Thailand and you have a property in the UK and now you decide to rent out that property, then that rental income is still taxed in the UK even though you've moved to Thailand. So that's thing number one. Of course you can. You can invest in bonds, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in property. With your own money, you can always do it. The tricky part is, can you get access to credit? What if I want to get a mortgage and buy a house in the UK? Can you do it? And that is where it becomes a bit more complicated, because the short answer is it depends. And it depends on the bank. You can go to 10 different banks. 3 banks will give you access to credit, 7 banks won't. What are they going to look at? First off, it's very difficult that you're going to be able to get a mortgage if you're tax resident somewhere else. If you're tax resident in Thailand or in Indonesia, whatever, and you try and get a mortgage in the UK or in Australia or whatever, they're very likely not going to give it to you. And the reason for that is because if you default for some reason and you can't pay back your debt, then it's hard for them and they're not going to be able to come and get you. You know, you now live somewhere else. It's going to be very tough for them to get back the money that they've lent you if you don't live there anymore. So in general, it's going to be a lot harder. When can you still do it? When you've got a good credit score, for example. So let's say before leaving your home country, you've had history of paying back your credit cards, you've built up your credit score, you've got a strong credit score. Some banks might still give you money. You can put stuff as collateral. Maybe you've got a car, maybe you've already got a house. Maybe you can use your own money as collateral, but then, you know, it makes sense to just buy it. So if you can put something as collateral, then of course they're going to give you the money, at least. You know, some banks may decide to give you money. The other thing that's interesting, if you don't really have a good credit score and you're looking for a mortgage in a country where you don't have a tax residency in, so again, let's say the example of the UK, you've moved to Thailand and you want to get a mortgage in the UK, but your credit score isn't great in the UK, you're not living there. Normally, it's very hard that they're going to be able to give you a mortgage unless they see income tax returns with a lot of money. But the thing is, it's very hard to do that because you're not paying any taxes. So like, you can't have it both ways. For example, in Thailand has a remittance basis system. So Thailand only taxes you on the money that you bring inside the country. So let's say you only declare £1,000, which is what you decide to bring inside of Thailand. Then you're going to have an income tax return of £1,000 and £50 in tax that you're going to have to pay. Now, cool, you're not paying any taxes, but £1,000 is your income. So now the UK will look at it and say, hey, you're asking us for 500k in credit line to buy a new property, but you've only made £1,000 last year. That's not on. So that's the thing, you can't have it both ways. The way you can have it both ways, in a few countries with territorial taxation, or if you move to Dubai, you know, Dubai doesn't have tax returns, so then you can just show your bank statements. But for example, Malaysia or Indonesia in some cases, if you apply for territorial taxation, you can actually declare your whole income in a few countries, but say that only a certain percentage was territorial. For example, 0. To be honest, I'm not too sure about Malaysia, but I know, for example, Panama. In Panama, you can declare your whole income. Panama has a territorial tax basis, so only money sourced from Panama is taxed inside of Panama. You can declare, say you made 100k and none of it was sourced, you can literally declare the whole 100k. and pay no taxes and say that actually, but zero of this 100k was actually sourced from Panama. So now you have the tax return with the 100k that you can use as proof that you're actually earning money, and that will probably incentivize banks to give you access to credit, but at the same time you're still not paying taxes. So that's something that you can do, and if you do have the chance to declare all your income and still not pay taxes like it is with Panama, then I genuinely recommend you do it. So again, can you invest in your home country after you've left? Of course. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? If you've got money, they're going to take it. That's how the world works. Do you think they're not going to let you buy stuff if you've got money? Think again. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next.